Break into the broadcast, everyone. This is a Code Ninja Security Advisory. Listen up, researchers, system admins, and defenders of the perimeter. We're initiating a coordinated vulnerability disclosure review today, and we've got a critical threat on the radar. Microsoft Security Bulletin MS09-028. We're talking remote code execution vulnerabilities right inside the Microsoft DirectShow framework. My objective for this briefing is crystal clear: to give you absolute, full visibility into this exploited vulnerability, force immediate mitigation across your networks, and frankly, protect your perimeter. All right, let's dive right into this intelligence.
Now, the operational timeline on this one, it's honestly staggering. We're tracking a threat life cycle that spans over a decade. Get this. Back in May 2009, the zero-day was actually actively exploited in the wild. That led to Microsoft's vendor acknowledgement on May 28th and the official MS09-028 patch dropping in July of that year. But here's the kicker. Fast forward to today, and CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, has officially escalated this exact same threat. They just added it to their known exploited vulnerabilities catalog, and that brings a strict, federally mandated patching deadline of June 3, 2026. So yeah, this is an ancient history. This is an active, regulatory priority right now.
So, our primary directive here is absolute. The objective? Immediate mitigation or forced vendor patch deployment. We're here to neutralize these threat vectors, force these fixes across your entire infrastructure, and harden the perimeter against active remote code execution threats. You literally cannot afford to leave these doors open.
Before we get into the actual technical deep dive, let's pivot for a quick communication link setup. Consider this a real-time comms check. I need to gauge the blast radius across our community right now, so I'm asking you directly. Are you currently patched or are you vulnerable? Seriously, take a hard look at your network status right this second. To maintain this comms link, I've got 3 non-negotiable operational security steps for you. First off, subscribe to @cybertech79 and turn on those notifications. This is an absolute security necessity for getting real-time threat intel. Second, hit the like button. Consider that your formal ACK, your acknowledgement of receipt for this intelligence. And finally, jump into the comments and report your patch status. Let us know if your perimeter is locked down or if you're sitting exposed. This census is absolutely crucial. It helps all of us understand the active threat landscape out there.
All right, let's initiate the deep dive. The primary threat lighting up our radar is CVE 2009-1537. Technically speaking, this is a DirectX NULL Byte Overwrite vulnerability, and it's parked right inside the QuickTime Movie Parser Filter, specifically operating through the quartz.dll file within DirectShow. Basically, when it fails to properly parse QuickTime media files, it tricks the system's memory, and boom, remote code execution. And it doesn't even operate alone. This disclosure covers 2 privately reported companions, CVE 2009-1538, which is a pointer validation flaw, and CVE 2009-1539, a size field validation vulnerability. All 3 of these just critically compromise the parsing engine.
The blast radius of these vulnerabilities? Frankly, it's catastrophic. If an attacker successfully pulls off this exploit, they instantly gain the exact same user rights as the local user. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates the severe danger of running everyday systems with administrative privileges, because if the logged-on user has admin rights, game over. The threat actor takes complete control of the affected box. They can execute unauthorized program installations, spin up new accounts, and view, alter, or just permanently wipe out your most sensitive data.
Let's clearly divide the network perimeter here so you know exactly who's in the crosshairs. On the vulnerable side, we're looking at severely impacted legacy environments. We're talking workstations and terminal servers running Windows 2000 SP4, Windows XP SP2 and SP3, and Windows Server 2003 SP2, specifically if they're utilizing DirectX versions 7.0 through 9.0c. Now, contrast that with the non-affected environments. Newer architectures, meaning all supported editions of Windows Vista and Windows Server 2008, are completely immune. Why? Well, Microsoft proactively ripped the vulnerable QuickTime Movie Parser Filter entirely out of those operating systems.
So, how exactly do threat actors weaponize this flaw in the wild? Well, the primary vector usually involves tricking a user into opening a specially crafted QuickTime media file. But it goes way deeper than that. Attackers can actually host malicious streaming web content on compromised sites. Or they'll use social engineering, email and instant messenger lures to deliver the payload. But here is the most alarming fact. Simply hovering a mouse over a malicious media file that's sitting in a folder or on a network share, that is literally enough to trigger the vulnerability and completely crash the Windows shell. The system tries to parse the file just to generate a quick preview, and bam, the exploit is triggered.
Let's move to remediation and see how we actually build our defense here. Your primary directive, and consider this a mandatory order, is to deploy Microsoft Security Update MS09-28 immediately. This is the critical patch. It corrects those underlying parsing errors, the pointer validation flaws, and the size field validation errors within the DirectShow framework. You're going to want to verify compliance across your entire enterprise using tools like Microsoft Baseline Security Analyzer or Windows Server Update services.
Now look, I know operational realities sometimes mean patches just can't be deployed instantly across thousands of endpoints. I get it. If you're a sysadmin unable to deploy the official patch before that impending CISA deadline, do not panic. We just pivot to emergency protocol. You have to implement tactical defensive workarounds to neutralize these attack vectors while you're waiting for patch approval.
Tactic 1. Unregistering the vulnerable DLL. First, fire up an elevated command prompt with admin privileges. Next, you're going to execute the following command: regs svr32.exe space -u, followed by the exact path to quartz.dll in your system32 folder. Finally, just verify the unregistration was successful. By doing this, you are effectively taking the vulnerable component right off the board. However, be advised, there's an operational cost here. Windows Media Player is no longer going to be able to play standard AVI or WAV files until you reverse this workaround.
Tactic 2 is the registry modification workaround. This one will completely disable the QuickTime parsing capabilities of quartz.dll without actually deleting the whole file. As always, back up your registry before making changes. You know the drill. Once you're secure there, open Regedit and hunt down the specific CLSID subkey for the parser, the one ending in F58A, under hkey_classes_root. Go ahead and delete that registry key. This surgically cuts the parsing engine's ability to process those malicious files, effectively neutralizing the threat.
Tactic 3 focuses on mitigating that alarming Windows shell hover attack vector we discussed earlier. This is a specific UI-based workaround for non-multimedia folder types. To pull this off, simply open your control panel and head into Folder Options. From there, on the General tab under Tasks, select Use Windows Classic Folders. This simple change stops the shell from automatically trying to parse those media files for previews the second a user's mouse hovers over them.
Users need to know to protect their systems. Full visibility into exploited vulnerabilities is non-negotiable. Let's step back a second and look at the philosophy driving this advisory. This is the ethics of the code. I really want to acknowledge the white hat security researchers who made this possible. We're talking about teams from SkyRecon, Kihu 360 Security Center, Palo Alto Networks, and Tipping Point VLabs. They practice true coordinated vulnerability disclosure. They worked directly with the vendor to ensure these patches were developed, actively keeping our entire community safe.
Okay, we've covered the intelligence, the blast radius, and your operational directives. Now, the responsibility completely shifts to you. Look closely at your architecture. Review your endpoints. I'm going to leave you with one final critical question. Is your perimeter secured? Check your systems, apply the patches, and execute those workarounds if necessary. Stay vigilant, stay secure.